They don't respect Parliament, democratic institutions, and at the end of the day, Canadians, because that's who we're here to serve and represent. But they consider changing their vote on Ukraine.
Are you kidding me? Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Karina Gould addressed the media today regarding Pierre Poilievre's plans for another filibuster, but I don't think it came off quite how she intended.
Let's take a look.
So I'm out here to tell you that I am not going to indulge yet another one of Mr. Poilievre's temper tantrums. Today we were supposed to be debating Bill C-50, an Act on Sustainable Jobs. It's the same bill that the Conservatives tried to move 20,000 amendments to last week at committee. They failed to do that. And so we were supposed to be debating this. This is a bill that talks about Canada's future. It's about making sure that we have a strong economy for the future. Canada right now is ranked third in the world for foreign direct investment. And it's because that we understand that we have to fight climate change, protect the environment in order to build that economy. And quite frankly, the world is moving in that direction. But last night, Mr. Poilievre and his Conservative members of Parliament put 198 amendments to an 11-page bill on the order paper. That would trigger another night of marathon voting. And why? Because he is ideologically opposed to fighting climate change. He is hell-bent on bringing American-style, extreme right-wing politics that have created chaos and dysfunction in Washington to Canada.
Did you hear that, everybody? Apparently being able to afford your grocery bill is extreme right-wing American-style politics. That's what I'm hearing. Are you kidding, Gold? So this is the new PR approach, everybody. Just call Pierre Trump and call him extreme right-wing. Okay. See how well that works out for you guys.
And so instead of entertaining his little temper tantrum, I'm going to suggest that he takes a little bit of a timeout. We're just about to move into the holidays, and I think it's a good idea for Mr. Poilievre and his Conservative members of Parliament to go home, cool down a bit, take a break, talk to Canadians, real Canadians, and reflect on, I won't even say childish, because I don't want to insult Canadian children, because quite frankly, they behave better than most Conservative MPs, but to reflect on their politics of obstruction and their irresponsible actions of this session. I find it particularly troubling how much trouble Mr. Poilievre has with the facts and telling the truth to Canadians.
Can I just say I hate how she's talking to the media and therefore Canadians as if we're all stupid little children?
Evidently, she's taking the public speaking course based on what Chrystia Freeland's approach to talking to Canadians is.
Like, they think we're all idiots. The reason that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives are mounting this filibuster is because that's pretty much the only tool they have left in their toolkit. Listen, Karina, only about 33% of Canadians voted for you guys in the last election, and due to your dirty deal with the NDP, you guys have a majority right now. So the Conservatives, the Bloc, the Green, the other opposition, the Independents, they don't have anything left in their toolkit except to mount a filibuster, because you guys are not listening to what more than half of Canadians want in Parliament.
Well, and, you know, with some of the recent polls that they've done on Canadians with the carbon tax, 80% of Canadians don't want it. Talk about, you know, obstruction. Like, come on.
In this parliamentary session, the Conservatives have obstructed over a third of days of debate of government business. That's obstructing legislation that would make houses more affordable, build more rental units, that would bring more competition to the grocery sector, that would create a free trade agreement with Ukraine. It's obstruction that would enhance the chemical weapons treaty that is targeted at Russia. Yet another example of the Conservatives abandoning Ukraine and standing with Russia. Why? It's obstruction on legislation such as we were going to debate today when it comes to a sustainable future. And it's obstruction with regards to what we will be debating today, which is C-58, which is historic legislation on replacement workers.
Look at your track record, Karina. Look at all these bills that the Liberal government has put in that have made life worse for Canadians. You've got Bill C-11, Bill C-18, Bill C-21, and these are just a few off the top of my head. In the last 8 years, I cannot say, and I doubt many Canadians can say, that their lives have been improved by the Liberals and the legislation that you're passing. So the filibuster is literally the only tool that the Conservatives have left in order to stop you guys from passing even more foolish, destructive legislation.
Well, and she has the gall to say that Pierre has a problem telling the truth. Let's look at literally what you just said. You said that they were obstructing. They're using parliamentary tools. Parliamentary tools that your party has used in the past. That the NDP have used in the past. But evidently it's okay for you to use them, but it's not okay for the Conservatives to use them. In addition to that, you said they were obstructing legislation that would have allowed homes to get built. What homes? What legislation would have led to homes getting built right now? Oh, right. The answer is zero. When you talk about obstructing legislation that would allow rental units to get built, you have passed nothing to allow rental units to get built. All you've done is given a tax break to developers that want to build everything from really small apartment buildings to apartment buildings for the super rich. Why are you giving them tax breaks? Yet you accuse the Conservatives of having their billionaire buddies, as Trudeau likes to say over and over again. And you talk about obstruction. How about obstructing the fact that 2 Conservative MPs and an NDP MP were being threatened and having their families harassed for 2 years, and you didn't even tell them?
Mr. Speaker, I've just been informed by the National Security Advisor that the CSIS Intelligence Assessment of July 20th, 2021 was sent by CSIS to the relevant departments and to the National Security Advisor in the PCO. This contradicts what the Prime Minister said yesterday. He said CSIS made the determination that it wasn't something that needed to be raised to a higher level because it wasn't a significant enough concern.
CSIS made the determination that it wasn't something that needed to be raised to a higher level because it wasn't a significant enough concern.
Will the Prime Minister correct the record that this report and information was sent to the departments and to the Privy Council office?
You want to talk about obstruction? How about the SNC-Lavalin case where Trudeau shut down all of the investigation the RCMP was carrying out by preventing them from accessing any of the cabinet notes so they would be able to actually continue this investigation?
Madame Deputy de Brantford.
Mr. Speaker, the RCMP ended the SNC investigation due to this Prime Minister's refusal to gain access to cabinet documents. Over the last 8 years, this Prime Minister has spent years concealing his role in the SNC scandal. He is not worth the cost. When will he finally produce the documents as requested by the RCMP?
Well, and if you guys tried to work with the opposition parties, including the Conservatives, and you tried to listen to them on what amendments they would like for their constituents, maybe they wouldn't have to filibuster everything. The problem is you guys made this coalition government with the NDP, and then you figured, you know what? We don't need to listen to any of the other opposition parties. Screw all the Canadians that voted for them. Screw all the Canadians that are represented by them and what they want. No, we'll do what we want. That's why they're using the filibuster.
We tried to bring this yesterday, but Mr. Poilievre and his Conservative members of Parliament obstructed debate, and I can only imagine why. because I understand he's trying to woo workers right now, but Mr. Poilievre has one of the most egregious records when it comes to workers' rights. He was a champion of union-busting, anti-worker legislation under the Harper government. And I can only imagine why he doesn't want his MPs or himself to have to comment on this legislation, because he'd have to tell Canadians the truth about who he is. And while he can take off his glasses, he can put on a t-shirt, he can film videos with soft-lit lighting, he can't actually hide who he is. And we've seen that time and time again over the past couple of weeks. And I feel particularly bad for some of those Conservative MPs that I know are principled and I know stand with Ukraine, but they've been bullied by their leader not to. This past week, we've heard from a couple of them who have tried so hard to say, no, they stand with Ukraine. But actions speak louder than words. And so over the holidays, I hope not only do they reflect on the very poor behavior that they have shown Canadians, that they don't respect Parliament, democratic institutions, and at the end of the day, Canadians, because that's who we're here to serve and represent, but they consider changing their vote on Ukraine.
Are you kidding me? They don't represent or they don't respect the democratic process? Are you kidding me?
You guys are the ones who don't respect the democratic process by forming a coalition with the opposition whose job is to hold you accountable, to form this coalition with the NDP so that you could have your own majority and then just completely ignore everything the Conservatives, the Bloc, the Green, and the Independents say.
Yeah, and you respect the democratic process when you literally shut down a hearing when the Conservatives are trying to question the commissioner of the RCMP.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
So you're officially moving to adjourn the
Yes,
meeting
I move
today?
to adjourn the meeting.
Point of order, Chair. Well, it's a non-debatable motion, Mr. Barrett, unfortunately. Were you asking this on a point of order, Madame Fortier? You were just making a...
Well, Chair, that's not how these meetings are conducted.
Yeah.
You read your
it's
remarks. She
non-debatable,
interrupted you.
It's not
The
debatable.
witnesses
I
were
just
to
I
give.
want to hear what he has to say.
The witnesses were to give testimony, and now we have government members looking to shut down a hearing on a very serious matter with respect to a criminal investigation into the Prime Minister, and we have the Commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police at the table. This is unacceptable. So we're here in the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics. We literally have the Commissioner for the RCMP in the room. We have a staff sergeant from the RCMP in the room, and we have these Liberals right there. The Liberal Vice Chair, Mona Fortier, just moved to adjourn the committee. These Liberals voted to shut it down. Mike Callaway, Parn Baines, hand him off, Iker Khalid, Mona Fortier. That's absolutely unacceptable. Look at them. They're very proud to cover up the corruption of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And so when we have the Commissioner of the RCMP here to answer questions, and we have the cover-up coalition do what they do, and they adjourn the meeting before the commissioner even read his statement. And so I can tell you that we came here to work. Meeting notice was given, and they are walking out of the room. They're running with their tail between their legs because they're trying to protect a prime minister who refused to release information that the RCMP had requested.
You respect the democratic process when you shut down a committee in the middle of it, when the Conservatives are trying to get to the bottom of some of the questions and information that the Auditor General is investigating when it comes to the ArriveCan app.
There are allegations regarding identity theft, fraudulent, forged resumes, contractual theft, fraudulent billing, price fixing, collusion.
At this time, Mr. Chair, I move that the committee do now adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's not debatable. I'll ask the clerk for a roll call, please.
You respect the democratic process when you ignored multiple votes to hold a public inquiry.
And you guys respect the democratic process when you guys are keeping a partisan speaker in the chair in the House? Give me a break.
Like, this is the thing, folks. This is so transparent. What Karina is doing right here, they are trying to label and create a new Pierre Poilievre in their image. They were late to the game, and they're trying to do it now. They are trying desperately to do it now.
Well, and Karina's scared because, as of the latest poll, her seat's going to go blue. She's going to be out of a job.
Oh, she's done. She'll go on mat leave, and she won't be able to come back. As soon as she has her kid, there'll be no seat for her to come back to. So, this is the thing, folks. At this point, it is just Hail Mary after Hail Mary from the Liberals, and they're trying to tell everybody, oh, you're basically going to get Trump up north. Like, Pierre has never referenced, he's never talked about, he doesn't deal with anything in terms of Donald Trump or any of politics in the South, never mind extreme right wing. Well, the only people talking about it is the Liberals.
And they're the ones, the Liberals are the ones bringing American politicians up to their convention.
Yeah, remember Hillary Clinton? Oh, yeah. But, you know, it's the Conservatives that are bringing American-style politics up here, right? This is gaslighting to the extreme, everybody. But here's the silver lining from this video, is the fact that the Liberals are now coming out and engaging these attack-style politics. This means they are extremely desperate, and they are extremely worried of a spring election, and this is all they have.
Well, and from what we've been hearing from people who used to be inside the Liberal Party, it's just ripping itself to shreds. You saw today where there was a ceasefire called for the Gaza area, and the Liberal MPs were unhappy. They were calling out their own party.
And some of them actually went to stand with the Conservative MPs at a demonstration, like Anthony Housefather. He was standing shoulder to shoulder with Melissa Lantsman in a demonstration because he was so unhappy with the ceasefire vote. So the Liberals are tearing themselves apart, and this is all they have left. It's just to throw mud and hope Canadians listen. But thanks to channels like Northern Perspective, we're giving you what's actually going on, and you're getting the truth so you can make your own decision.